We wanted to take about 45 minutes of class time just this afternoon. We won't make it a long class to continue our investigation into forces.
Tanda ningu jab gi choden thama jura di ringbu shu thingi mes kama ship shangas nal ma juk due insra di tanda ngju chushi tanda shu yo thagrang gal yan ship che di ins.
One of the things we're going to do a lot of this week is drawing pictures of simple situations and trying to understand the forces acting in that situation.
Ta tanda ngaran so di dunda nal mangche khari na or lana rimu gi ni thie jura rimu thini tishi ga di ani khar lan ne dang minda ne dang tap deu inje. And so we're
going to start creating this habit of drawing pictures this afternoon.
So we're
going to become very familiar and get a lot of experience thinking about the forces acting in different kinds of situations.
So, in our investigations about force today, we identified several characteristics of forces. So, in order to tell the story of the forces in a specific situation, we need to agree to tell some specific things about forces. So, for instance, we discovered today that forces are not all the same strength. We also discovered that an object exerts a force on another object. And we also discovered that we needed to have a way to describe the direction of the force. Where is the new Drepung Losel temple? You notice that you pointed in that direction, in the direction of the temple, right? This is what we do to show direction. We point. And we know that the new temple is closer than the old temple, even though it is in the same direction. So, drawing arrows to show a direction is something that should be familiar to us. So then we can draw a force as an arrow. And if there are more than one forces, we will draw them all from here. So this is a shorthand way for us to think about forces.
Tila du shukla ni khande yorla ngara su samchina le la tab deu ngala ani dindi remove ni ma tungu res.
Which of these three forces do I want to communicate to you is the one with the biggest strength?
Ta kiran zula thanda ma deshi gya go gu nasra shuk chishu khandi yor lawa na khandi pheju che res ta dinzu nani. Khandi the one pointing towards that side.
So then we're using the length of the arrow to indicate strength.
Chezan kyan sui thanda da di shuk che le jura di khande sher la na ringse jura rimuna la dil tani kyan sui shuk di che yarwas.
Okay? And so we are going to ask you to make drawings of forces.
Dila du shuk la du gal kyan sui ma rimuna la ko du gal shuk di shuk la ni rimu jura ma rimuna ma ko go res.
And we are going to have you think about several different situations.
Kyan zu samlo khari tang gu la na nedang minda mangbu chai ra dinde gal an shuk di khande ske yu me jura di gal samlo tang gu res.
How far away is the clinic?
Menga tha ringle res adine.
So here are two monks.
Dila kusho ni doas.
Which one is the heavier monk?
Ta kusho jigo sa khandi reshala skorani.
Okay, so we have a heavy monk and a less heavy monk on two skateboards.
Ta tanda di kholo yo sto adi ye digala ni res kusho ni res kusho lan pesheda dila digala kusho jigo che sta jigo chunga ni res.
So we are going to push each other.
Ani phachu buje tais
And we are going to push each other hard.
buje shukchmu tais pha penju do.
Bryce will move in that direction and I will move in this direction.
Ta buje ni ga penju buje tang du gala price phajo du res thana singa sulli res.
While our hands are touching, I want you to make a diagram that shows the force that I am exerting on him and the force that he is exerting on me.
Ta tanda nedang tu sa niga ende lawa ni thu de kapso bije ta lawa thu ra thu e kapso price ta instrumentals khorani ga gi ta shu phachu shu ge jora di en kherang zu remove ga ni ma ko yisra.
So this is the first situation. Okay? This is Stamatis. This is Bryce.
Ta nedang thangbo remove na ma pa pen de ro thira and di stamatus race di price race
This is the first situation.
di nedang thangbo di che.
The second situation is this situation
Nedang ni ba di race ra
where we are going to push against each other,
yang ngoi nang shi phachu bije ta jora ni ga pinju bije ta race
but only Bryce will move.
ta ni ga bije tang du gala thande nedang dul khachi lana price ku jo tang race.
The third situation is this situation
Nedang sumba di race
where we're going to push against each other and I will move.
sumba di la khachi re ya rangja pinju bije ta di che and thande nedang sumba la khachi lana stamatus ku jo tang race.
So the first situation is this. The second situation is this. So this is Bryce here. The third situation is Bryce and Stamatis. And the fourth situation is this situation.
Tadi nedang thangbu nyo sumba nyin dun sa so ne shiva di res.
Where we are leaning against each other.
Ha su gyab chik chik nyin do den de res nedang ni.
Okay? So, for these four situations, I want you to draw a diagram of the forces, the force that I'm exerting on Bryce and Bryce is exerting on me.
Ta thanda nedang min do shi tuen so di shi tuen du khan zu ma removal ma pa be res di khari tuen ko la na price ki stomatus la shuk khagas kya yu me da thana shi stomatus ki price la shuk khaju kya yu me jura di shuk di ma remuna ma pa bu res nedang shiga ga che.
Please draw the forces on your in your notebook.
Ta shuk di deshe jura remudi di khol thigu la na thideb nam thiro chis.
And then discuss your drawings in your group and draw a common drawing on a whiteboard.
Ta thangbo su su thira jela ani penju ta ni ani thodur chini ra ruga chini ani ran ju changmai gi chinyom rojli ra da di ani yele ni ani khiran ju karban dinar ma ko sharu chis chanyom ji khari rawi me jura di jela karban ma pa ru chis.
I think most of you can draw better than we can.
Ta dus ta na ra khiran ju ngaju rimul de khiran ju ya thitu re sam dus.
So in each diagram, you should have two arrows. And if you think that one arrow should not be there, then you say one arrow and the other one should not be there.
Ta rimut thira nedang shi ya dinala ni nedang re na la da ni li roas na khashe khiran ju gi ta kabre da chik ma shi yo mare sam mena da ni wadi yo mare lan khiran ju ma thi sharu chis ra. Shuk dun du gala shuk penjun tu la du dani li ra khashi da chik thi na dani ba diyo maris lan shuk diyo maris lan ma se uthi sharu chis.
The good news is also that there are many ways to make these drawings. There's not just one correct way to draw these drawings. There's many, many ways.
Ta ne su ya ga chila thanda di remote thidan jora di su min do ga na thie yores chikran jing mai ba che mangbu kyu ni thie yores.
So you label the forces in a way that makes sense to you.
Di la du gala ta ji ge ra shuk re la di ta ge du gala su su rang gi ta di moi ne gyan na ti yores min do le si ra.
So many of you have now done individual drawings. Now meet in your groups and draw a group drawing on the whiteboard.
Ta thanda khiran zo mangche su su ger gi mi re ngore ni changma thizara re modi di cha sa shas di jela ta kharna yar lana su su ruba su ni thanda si su so pha ju si ni ani chanyom gi rimu jima karban la ma thisharo chis.
So here is your whiteboard.
Oh, you want to split it up? We asked them to draw a group drawing.
Ta di rimu thidang handes lana changma la karban re yora ruba re la di karban na la de thumbu shi tangro chis ra nyugu digi.
This is case 1. This is case 2, case 3, case 4.
Ta thumbu shi ra shi di ani nedang thangbo niwa sumba shiwa lan yo di shi chungi yores. Tiwa di seo cha se. Ta thanda nedang shi tuen so di shi tuen du gala nedang thangbo niwa sumba shiwa khari na re penchun khaji du shuk ge do shuk ge du gala price ki stomatis la shuk khagas ge ge me da tuen jora di che thana shi stomatis ki price la shuk khaju ge ge me da ni chai ra da di shuk di ma pa ro chi la da remuna nedang shi na shi shuk ni li ra da.
Remember that we agreed that we're going to use arrows.
Tanda di peju di chue la khari peju chair la na da di peju chi ruas shuk de.
And if one arrow is bigger than the other,
Ta tanda shuk te la da peju chi di ra.
I am to understand that one force is bigger than the other.
Dila dugala da tuen jura, di tuen dugala shuk chejung yudugala da diringdung yura, di tunguras, da chik di shuk chik di jo di chedu, di jo chunga du lai di tungures, di seu chagres.
If the two arrows are the same length, I am to understand that they are of equal strength.
Dila du kitsi kiran so rimunang la da nyingi ringdung chikba chikyang tiwa ina, nyingi khari go sur lawa ina, korani gi penju shuk chikba chikyang gyasha lai jura, di tungures. Dagi ringdung la nyini kiran so soyin ba shuk chejung, dagi ringdung dil tungures la di res.
Your board should look like this.
Kiran so karban di chidang di res, tungu shi do.
So you divide into 4 sections.
Dinal cha shi sharo chesra.
And please work as a group.
Kela ruga suro chesagin. Ni chik chik main ba che ruga che. Kizu ruga ho. Karban.
So, if there is disagreement in your group,
Number so. Kiran so ruga sura ruga chik na lage ya modi medyo yungu roas nedang.
please write down for the case where there is disagreement, write down all the different ideas.
Ta modi mere la dugala samsu minda acha de ra. Samsu minda khari ime sama ma karban na thi sharo chesra. Dini şu kol alele di suja jo dini suja jo. La?
제가 시 집어만 제가 시 집어 줘가.
수가 내당 시간라.
정말 그때 들어봐
We noticed walking around the room that we see some patterns in the way you've drawn the forces.
다 징가나 야마 gelap 해서 데 코라게 두고라 안 키란소 리모트 맨다 통도 드로 시통송스티나.
So we want to summarize what we've seen from all the different groups in the room.
딜라두르가 맨다 가지 리모트 상마따 인스티타도 아니 키란소 이다 견돔 기다 찬염 기르무 로저라 디마 돌두치 티긴스.
So, what I noticed was that there were 3 different kinds of diagrams.
딜라두 리모나 따두가라 두스타두 맨다 숨두스 리모.
Some groups had 2 forces, 2 forces, 2 forces, 2 forces.
루가 하시나라 따내당 시라 시가라 델라 슈 니체 타나시 델라 슈니 된샤스르무나.
Some other groups had 2 forces, 1 force, 1 force, 2 forces.
루가 하시나 가르둘라나 델라 슈니 델라 슈치 숨바 델라 치 타나시 파주 시바 델라 니 델라 된도스.
And there were some groups that had 2 forces, 3 forces, 3 forces, 2 forces.
루가 하시나 가르도 세와나 디나라 슈니 된샤스 타나시 디나라 슈숨 디나라 슈숨 디나 슈시 델라 된도스.
Now, in addition, I noticed that when there were 2 forces,
다 넘베지 가리 두낭 총슬라요 이나스 단다 내단직라 슈니 됴바이 데스.
the heavier monk was exerting a larger force.
kushو jigo chedigi shuk manga gyagyoshten shastramo.
So if the diagram had 2 forces, the heavier monk was exerting a bigger force than the lighter monk.
Ta shuk ni tenjo nala khashi khariten lana jigo chejura di ani tanda shuk che gyagyoshten shas yanga dil durwaina.
With the possible exception that some groups had equal forces here or forces that were almost equal.
ruga khashi kharishlana ta nedang shodo chashoina shuk chikpa gyagyo ani chikpa mai bainege chikpa halam chikpa injoro dile ten shas.
These are the patterns that we noticed.
Ta dre dende thonsos tindal koragede.
So we will discuss this first thing tomorrow morning.
다 디 토라 초두르 체주라 디 아니 상이 진짜 소두 갑소니 초두르 체니스.
But here are some questions for us to decide and think about tonight.
다 근데 치와지 카시 주요레스 디 아니 소소 삼로 타에 체 안타나 슈가 조 초두르 체고에 디 치와지 유스.
One question is, we need to decide if Bryce is exerting a force on Stamatis.
다 치와지 카리 차고르라나 केसी ब्राइस के स्टोमेटोस कला शुक गेगी यो आइनास
If Stamatis is exerting a force on Bryce.
केसी स्टोमेटोस की ब्राइस कला शुक गेगी यो आइनास.
So we need to decide if we are going to have knee, or knee, chick, knee.
ता ngajo थाउजो छिगुगु यो रास्ति गप्सो शुक नी रे याना 니 찍찍 레스 말아서 타주 치고 그래스.
That's one thing that we need to decide, and then we need to think about the following situation.
찍 디간 타주 치고 해체 아니 제마디 카르라나 가란수기 내당 민도지가 아니 스tam로 타야지.
So I want you to take your two hands and I want you to touch your fingers like this.
그런저 차니가 인데 gelana시 꺄니라 주고디 저 핀스 톡다스.
I want you to squeeze your fingers against each other.
주고니 타간다 나가요라 파츠 인데 만냄로 치스 니가.
Until you see that your fingertips are getting white.
다 냄다 두가 슈카가스 냄 gorlawa ina ngazugi 주고 있세시도 까우 통보다 디 까우 통통보다 만냄 샤로 치스.
What do you think this fingertip is exerting on this fingertip, the force that this fingertip is exerting on this fingertip compared to the force that this fingertip exerts on this fingertip? How do the forces compare?
तातंदा जुगुचिगी जुगु शंबादिल शुग गयाजोरा थानशी जुगु फाजो दी सुजो शुग गयाजोरा दिनी खेरान जो खंडेस दुर्गेस फेंसु दुरेजोरा फाजो. It's the same equal forces.
Okay? What evidence do we use for that?
먼저 이 빵다 खरी भेजे चिगरेस निंदे शेल. कुजो तंग मंदुस लागोरे. Because it's not moving. That's you can see it has.
Can we use visual observation? You remember?
미 भेजे 치니 तोशिप cheyo roasti. And the भेजे 치 두르스.
What evidence did we use that I was pushing on the chair?
ता तंदा 먼저 디 kubje digal जुगु디 마 비제 당도 딜라도 먼저 빵다 खरी भेजे चिगरेस.
My fingertips were squished and the chair was squished as well.
딜라도 탄다 내당 디차 샤오에나 ता 빵다 खरी भेजे चिगिलारा 딜라도 जुगु디 마 냄샤ጆ로 스통도 아스 테가나시 디 kubje 딜라이 조스 투 도아스 마치 샤조로디 디 통고요레스.
So when I go like this, how does the squishing of this finger compare to the squishing of this finger?
ता फासु नेमगदो आथांदा जुगु 체갑소 जुगु 디기 마 파조 딜네메 체테하니스 디 수조 네메주라 디니 캔조 케바 칸데스 통고도스 디니 바랄라 칸데스 두르게 인스 디니 парла.
Check pare? Check pare. Now what I want you to do is I want you to push your fingers to the left.
तातंदा जुगु इंदे जानि देरा दिलादु बुजातानिरा युनछोला बुजातांरोचिस.
And I want you to look at your two fingertips.
ता 태하나시 부자땅그라 덴데 값소 디 체여 값소 아니 소소 따고고 요레스 주고 있셀라.
So we want you to do this tonight.
단다직 체송소 니케란조 공다 체 나스랑자.
And tomorrow morning we will see if we can get more evidence to answer this question.
아니 상이 슈게 건조 단다디 투와시 땅서 딜라 아니 빵다 단다 딜라 망아 망부치라고 됐다고 슈게.
And before we stop, though, I want you to try one more experiment.
다 ngazu madu ngwe la ni thanda yangyo ta se shimba chi kran zu che yins
Put your fingers back together like this
ya ranja zu changma pa phinju jaro chis
and hold one hand perfectly still. Don't move that hand.
zu chi gujyo che ma da ni khaptu sharo chis lagba chi gonda
And with your other hand, push.
ani lagba shimba jura da yeba ro cha sham yeba di gujyo ma da che yoma di bujya dance
How do the forces compare between your fingertips?
ta thanda yoma di bujya da yeba di gujyo ma da sung ra di ndi chi du gala ni zugu itse jura di le kheran zu shuk hande chog dos
Even though one hand is staying still and the other hand is pushing, how do the forces feel between your fingers?
gujyo zugu chi gujyo tang yo mara shimba di bu yo ra di yo gap so ani kheran zu gi thanda zug zubje de la kharis chor gu res
Try holding.
so one hand feels like there is no force
What do your fingers feel like?
zugu den zo khande chog yo res kheran zu zugu de the chik de gujyo ma dan chik de bu yo ra khari re bujya tang ni de the one which is pushing they feel like the fingertips chao chagi dura it feels warmer
It feels warmer. Try holding your other arm still and push from the other direction.
ta nye ni yoma di bujya tang sung sa ta yoma di gujyo ma tang che ya chok shen ba ni yeba ni ya bujya tang oi nas
Do you feel the force in both hands?
di bujya tang is one is still and another one is pushing right
Yeah.
okay onde chidu da keran su gi thanda sugu se ni ga la shuk chor gu des yes
So even if one hand is staying still,
ta thanda di kap su laba chi gujyo tang yo mara chik de gujyo ma dan chik bi yo ra bujya ma tang oi na thandu khin su shuk chog dos
this hand is pushing on this hand,
yoma di bujya tang la di bujya tang cha de ras yoma di yeba la bujya tang yo res
but is the hand that is staying still, is that hand also pushing on my other hand?
di la du gala la ko yoma di bu la ra nya la thana shi yeba di gi yoma la is it pushing you asked right
Yeah, is it
yeba di gi ya thanda yoma bu na shi yeba di gi yoma la bu yo res yes it's pushing yes it's pushed from both sides
pushes from both sides. We want you to think about these questions some more tonight.
ta thanda ta je ro chego mang bu ji sung so ne dang min jo di gal khiran ju samlu ta ne ni sangi ye yes khiran ju samsu
Today we talked about forces as a push or a pull,
ta tharin lobjen thidu gala shuk la khale jil re la du gala biu ba ya na the ba la jura di she res
but we also discovered that a pull is really just a push.
di lo du chi khari ngan ju sar nya chur la ne the la di khare la na biu ba chi ba cha de res
So if one thing is pushing on the other, what's happening from the other side?
ta chi gi shemba ji la ma biu de la du gala chok shemba del khari chung de res other side is pulling he said the other side is pulling when one side is pushing
The other side is pulling?
yeah he said
Okay. Think about this. First thing tomorrow morning, we will revisit your diagrams and continue on.
ta sai choden thang bu chu ra shu ge because kheran ju remote diga kyar du dra yes an thang na shi samsi khari yo ne de
Please leave your whiteboards at your spots where you are today because we will need them first thing tomorrow morning.
ta thanda shuksa khari yo di rangsha kheran ju sai shuksa tharan shuru chisra ru ga yora di sai khaina na choden go chu da tharan karban di pheju chi yes
You sound like you have a microphone, even if you don't.
kela moral mic me oi nei thandu ke so da mic yo da chipore shas
Thank you. See you tomorrow.
o tu chi na sai je